Solly and I had the incredibly uplifting task of summarizing the views on Afghanistan. And we noticed that a portion of the views were pointing out the failures of the mission and quite possibly the hopelessness of it. And the other ones are pointing to some potential action items up until 2014 and thereafter. And so we put them into two categories that represent these views. And I will be putting on my negativity hat and outlining the category that we've entitled ISAF Fail, and Sully will be putting on her Happy Sunshine hat and discussing the category that we've affectionately titled ISAF Hope. Looking at the ISAF mandate, one of the common opinions that were among the delegates was that it's inherently conflictual. And what we mean by that is that the mandate focuses on reconstruction and development, while the strategy on the ground focused on military strategy, albeit for a good reason in the beginning. But while doing this, they never actually pushed past that initial strategy. They've wasted a lot of time carrying out an on-the-ground strategy that didn't align with this mandate and promoting a mandate that not only isn't reflected in the mission, but most importantly hasn't been seen by the Afghanistan people. So ISAF fail. Moving on to regional engagement, all of the speakers and the students notice that the coalition forces have failed to engage Pakistan and have inadvertently protected the Taliban in this area. Without addressing the root of the problem, the Taliban's ability to plan, strategize, and recruit continues, thus weakening the mission. Further, internationally, no one has fully demonstrated the potential of the positive influence and impact that Afghanistan could potentially have as a stable and neutral state. ISAF fail. Moving on to the non-state actors, obviously most importantly the Taliban, currently are the only viable option for the Afghan people. Through opium, portions of the Afghan population have achieved some semblance of financial security, and through suppression and brutality have provided what most of us call order. Because these are too far extensive with civilian engagement as argued, soft power influences haven't been fully implemented. The other thing that we focused on was civil society action, and while NGOs focusing on women's rights, education, and health concerns like polio are present in Afghanistan, they have not made significant progress. For one reason, the lack of coordination amongst themselves and the Afghan government, the threat of Taliban to the civilian participants and the NGOs themselves, and lastly, in the effort to remain impartial to all those involved, NGOs have resisted being protected and provided security through the coalition forces, which has resulted in animosity amongst the two. Lastly, looking at cultural and ideological considerations, little effort has been put into connecting with civilians throughout the entire mission because of the dominant military strategy, without which little could be achieved for lack of security. But the lack of intelligence information that has been prevalent throughout the ISAF mission, cultural specialists that have been needed and not provided, ignorance has in a way crippled ISAF's efforts to solve critical issues. We see this most substantially in the culture surrounding drugs and alcohol and their efforts to eradicate opium, and their efforts in trying to involve women in various aspects of reconstruction that haven't been supported by the communities. Without winning the support of the people, as we've all noticed, and earning the trust of these people, you will not win the insurgency. And as said many times, the withdrawal of forces from Afghanistan, most of us have agreed, will result in a relapse of Taliban control. Lastly, the attempt to institute Western-style democracy, and more specifically, a centralized government, will not work, given Afghanistan's political intervention history, geography, and conflictual history. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for that very optimistic overview.
And Solly will do the positive.
Oh.
Well, it sounded everything really hopeless, but we had hope too. So, some part of the groups, we had hope. So, so the ISAF, we think that the ISAF can learn, and we learn from our mistakes, and we can go a more positive way. So we are restructuring and reforming the structure in the IS, and we are trying to communicate more with the people in the ISAF and outside with the local people. So we are focusing also on Afghanistan like a more decentralized state, like Jamie pointed out too. so that we have more infrastructure, we can communicate better with the local people, and we can understand them. And so we learn a lot from our mistakes. We all agreed that to set up a date to say we're leaving and our troops are leaving Afghanistan was a really big mistake. So we think that we need to stay there, we need to build up the infrastructure, we need to talk to the people, and we need to be there for the education system and to train the police and stuff. So in our group we are mentioned again that the Taliban is an issue. Well, this was a problem, and so we need to give them alternatives, why they need to join maybe the police or the military, and why they need to fight for their own country. So it's not us, it's not the Western military, we want to win Afghanistan or something. We want that the people there want to have a new country, a new life. So yeah, we actually need to try to understand them better. And this was one mistake too we did before. We thought we could implement a Western democracy. But now I think we agreed all in both groups that this can't be achievable, and it's not. So we need actually to find new system that we say where they can lead themselves. So Jamie already mentioned when he spoke to us that now it's a time to act in Afghanistan. We have a lot of troops there, and we have to be really quick because we can't wait any longer. And everything we find out and we were talking about and listening before, we just talked to someone from FCO, and they're telling us that they all agreed, every country agreed, that they need to stay and that they really give the people hope and help to build up the infrastructure and train the police and stuff. And so we're really hopeful, and yeah, so we think we can achieve a good solution in Afghanistan.